Good morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, and disembodied hands, Quindy, Justin, and John. How are you all? Happy Friday. Yes, my sound is on. Did my sound go on? Hi. Hello, everybody. Iffy with the 32 months. Insane. Yeah, thank God, right? Causing trauma. I'm so happy it's Friday. Although I have stuff to do this weekend, so, because this is the payback for me taking last weekend up in Canada to play with puppies. Puppies, yes. So now we must get back to work. But at least it's been warm here, so I was very happy. It was very warm yesterday. We had a very nice dinner. So yes, happy Friday, all. We are still elfing. So as I mentioned, since I don't have all of Stumpy the Dragon, but I still want to kind of start working on Stumpy a little bit, I would like to work on Stumpy's basing. So once we get this guy more or less set up, I'll shift over to Stumpy's awesome base, which is pretty cool, actually. It's got a lot of flagstones. We could even do like a little mosaic pattern, like some freehand and some of the unbroken tiles, I was thinking. I don't know. That would be a lot, though, because there's a lot of tiles out here. So I'm still thinking about that. But we've got a cool stone head. I have to kind of think about what I want to do. I'm thinking I wanted to do some more earthwork type stuff, like in between these, like put some dirt, texture paint and stuff in there, and some grass growing up, stuff like that. Oh, here, Iffy. I did a thing. I have lots of pictures. Hold on. I can find these pictures. I know I can. There we go. Let's see if I can get... So, the puppies. Very, very cute picture of 3 of the puppies. 3 of 4 puppies. And then... Hold on. Gotta get all the comments so I can show all the pictures. I put up a long write-up about the litter evaluation. That's another cute one. All 3 of these puppies. So you can see kind of the differences that we got between the puppies. And yeah. But yeah, they turned out well. They did well. They were real softies. They were real sweet puppies, which we weren't expecting with the Tervuren in there. We were expecting harder temperaments, but we did not get it. But they are adorable, yeah. Queen of Kings, I'm not sure which dragon it is. I didn't get the whole thing, as the saga of Stumpy the Dragon tells you. I only have the body and the wings. I don't have the head or any of the limbs, so I have no idea which dragon it is. Yes, other people may have an idea which dragon it is, but I do not have an idea what dragon it is. It is Stump of Rax until it is something else, and it only gets to be something else when I get the extra parts. Otherwise, it's Stump of Rax, in my opinion. Just using Ron's usual naming conventions. Alrighty, let me get, what do I want to do today? I want to fill in, I want to work on some leather, maybe some NMM. We got to think about accent colors, but I'm going to fill in a lot of the rest of the stuff before I decide on accent for sure. I'm pretty sure the accent's going to go red, maybe even red-violet, in a weird kind of sideways accent color from the hair, since I went more orange there. I also want to add more highlights to the hair, because it's not really done yet. There we go. Because I got some decent set of highlights on it, but I didn't get everything on it. So I was doing a lot of correction and blending in yesterday. But I am happy with the hair color. And we did the skin as well, which also needs more highlights, though it's looking pretty okay. But yeah, so today I want to fill in some of the wood and the leather. I can also put an accent color down here. I haven't done this part yet on purpose, because usually if you put an accent color up, you don't want it to all be up here. you also want a little bit of it to make the eye travel around the model. So I preserved part of this. It may be part gold and part accent color, just because I want touches of that accent color elsewhere. It's easy back here because when we do freehand, we can add all sorts of colors to this, right? But on the front, it's a little bit more limited. And here it's also good because we've got that egg-shaped gem. We've got the spell effect. So if we put more accent colors down here, it moves the eye around the model. So that is what I'm thinking. Hold on. So I have some other things over here that I'll show later in the stream. They aren't essentially things I might work on for my own stream tomorrow. There we go. Bikini. I had to put a bikini on one of those things because she's topless. But yes, there we are. Now we're ready for later. Show and tell later. So tomorrow I will not be doing my normal stream at the normal time. I'll be doing it actually at the time of this show or slightly later. Like I may scooch it to like 10 my time or noon your time. Just because David's oldest friend has a surprise birthday party his brother is organizing. So we have to go into the city. And I have to make deviled eggs. So I will not be able to do my my afternoon stream tomorrow. I will instead be doing it on twitch.tv/paintingbig around noon USA Central Time. So around the time of this show or just a little bit later. Depends on how fast I get moving tomorrow. So yeah, I will be here tomorrow. Maybe I'll even like wake up early and go over and get a coffee. Ooh. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do tomorrow. I didn't want to skip the stream after 2 weeks of skipping the stream because I do enjoy my own personal private Twitch stream. But yeah, I wanted to change it up. So, and there are a number of things I might work on for that Twitch stream, and I'm not sure. So I'll run through all of them toward the end of the stream. But first, we must concentrate on Reaper things. Reaper things. And do you guys want to do like black wood on the staff? Like I think I'm going to go for actually kind of an off black and highlight it with kind of a brownish gray instead of doing my usual dark brown. I think I'd like that really bold kind of slash across him. I think that's actually like speaking to me at this time. So let's see here. All of my blacks are in the other room. I grabbed my liners out to make something else the other day, and then promptly forgot them in the other room. Oh, we can use black indigo. That's a good color. It's black enough. When I say black, it's really, you can do all sorts of things with it. Okay. So I can add like a rogue shadow to this and probably get a decent black. Everybody does brown wood, right? So easy to do brown wood. Black wood is about the same. You just want to suggest the texture, usually in a grayed out color. If wood has black stain on it, you usually see a little bit of that grayish striation coming through from the grain picking up the light because the stain doesn't penetrate equally everywhere. I know this because David uses black stain on his wood bases. And if he wants it to be a solid black, then he has to paint it, not stain it. But a wizard's staff probably is not painted. So, yes, buy black indigo. Buy me, it says. It actually is a different number, probably because it's Kickstarter color now. But yes. Is it out yet? Did they release Did they release all the Kickstarter paints? I know April was the date, but I didn't know the actual date. 9328. Thank you, Iffy. I should cross that off my... Do I have a Sharpie? I do. Hold on. 9328. So, when I really need to do this... 9, 3, 2, 8. There! Ta-da! Could be ebony. Yeah, you could do that, Jetta, but that's like... I mean, it's rainforest wood, right? And Africa. So, you can decide for yourself if a wizard's staff, if a wizard would have access to that. But I think that if you're going to bring up wood grain, because if you're going to do ebony, that's boring. You won't bring up any wood grain that way. You're just going to have to flat highlight it. Which isn't as exciting as like trying to do some grain. So... Reaper did not make the washes for Secret Weapon. Actually, it was the opposite of what you've got there, Crows. Reaper made the paint for Secret Weapon, but not all the paint. We did the series that was starting with the rust colors and stuff. And we did not make the washes, nor do we make their manga or mecha paint or whatever their secondary line was. That was not something we did. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay, so Black Indigo is out. Awesome. Buy a ton of it, please, everybody. And I need to order, too. And Wild Violet is a pretty color, too. You should buy that. And Rich Indigo is really really underrated. Yeah, Crows. Make sure you got proper info on that. Just because, you know, don't want the industry to have misconceptions about any of that. And or the customer audience. We only did that one line, that one small line of paint for Secret Weapon. They sourced they did everything else themselves. So Black Indigo is going to read as black on this, but I want to highlight it with slightly different stuff. So I may... Oh, sorry. Yeah. You asked about Secret Weapon paints. I'm answering about Secret Weapon paints. We did their initial, their rust colors and the heat colors and all of them in that, the wood colors, all that. We did that, but we did not do any other paint products for Secret Weapon. And I do not know about any current status on any of that. So... yeah. Why did you inhale spicy ramen? That's not a very good air choice. All right, so when I put this down, it's too blue-purple, so I'm going to add a bit of brown to it and try to slide it more toward black. Since it is blue-purple, I'm probably going to add a little bit of russet brown or ruddy leather. I think I'm going to add russet brown first. So whenever you want to neutralize a color, add its complement. So since the Black Indigo has a lot of violet and blue in it, this is a yellowy brown. So yellow and orange. Browns are always oranges almost, except they'll slide. So this one's yellowy orange. So yellowy orange and purpley blue are complements. So I can put a little bit of this color into this, and it will shift more neutral. In fact, it will shift closer to a true black. So now we have lost, let me thin it out and show you. We've lost that blue-purple, a lot of it. You still have a little bit of blue-purple, but it's reading a lot more true black to me. I could add more of this in and totally bury that blue-purple and get a complex neutral. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, that was confusing. All right, so now I'm going to paint this over, and it's going to essentially kill that. See that purpley blue color that I've got here? Let's see that purple? So when I paint this over, it's going to kill that a lot. It's going to tamp it down, because I do want this to read as black. And I don't want to highlight it with purpley blue. So if you're not going to highlight it that way, you don't want to retain any of that color. There we go. That's nice and dark. And then we'll, how much free oxygen in ramen? Hee hee. Were you arguing with people on the internet, Shadow Raven? You know you should never do that, right? We all do it. Alrighty. So just filling this in, and then it's got well sculpted wood grain, as you can see. So we're gonna try to hit a lot of that. We'll probably use some side brushing to try to pick up the bits that we can see and then accentuate them where we want them. And here I do want part of this to read as cloth, so I'm going to use this color actually as a liner to bring a line in there. No, there is purple because Rogue Shadow has red in it, and also a bit of a purple shift. So when I used it with an off-white, the red was stronger than the yellow. It essentially shifted it an orangey purple. Because when you mix red with black, depending on the red, it can go one of two ways. The red can go toward brown, or it can go toward purple. So red plus black sometimes equals purple. And that is the case of Rogue Shadow here, which is very much kind of a very dull down red liner. So when you put that with white, even if there's a bit of yellow in it, it didn't totally mute it out because there's a lot of red pigment. But the red pigment is stronger in this case than the yellow pigment in the gnawed bone. Oh, but you spent so much energy on that, Shadow Raven. That's why I don't argue with people on the internets anymore. I'm just like, you know what? My energy could be better spent painting things or writing things or otherwise doing things and not wasting my time trying to convince one person that they're wrong when I probably won't convince them anyway. Maybe I'm just a pragmatist. I just think that the internet is the grandmother of all rabbit holes to go down. In so many ways. I like to think I have a fairly high wisdom score, but I'm not so sure. Shadow Raven. There's so many ways I am so unwise. When I got my wisdom, when I had to take my wisdom teeth out because, well, 2 of them came out anyway. I'm like, I am not wise enough to have these teeth. There must be some mistake. Alrighty. Pop that in there. Just gonna pop a hard shadow back there. Accidentally got a little bit on my egg there. I should just paint it like an Easter egg. Like, he has an Easter egg in the top of his staff. No, that would be bad. Then I would have to put an Easter bunny on the back of his cape. It would be very, very seasonal of me to do that because of when we're painting this model. But, no. Let's not go there. Let's not be that silly. There are definitely days where I could be that silly, but not with this character. But it is tempting because it's totally an Easter egg. Ugh. Yeah, everything is expensive now. Like, I went to book a flight home to Wisconsin, and it's normally like, you know, $350, $400. It's $750, and I had like 0 choices. Like, it was like anything else was $1,000. I was like, what the heck is happening to the world? Yes, but intelligence and wisdom are 2 separate scores. So, do you say our brains got larger because we needed to get, like, undumber, more wise? It's an egg holder. Yeah. Yeah, it's an Easter egg holder. I could totally, man, I can't, though. I can't. I want to actually have this be a nice miniature and not a comedy miniature. Ron would just about kill me if I handed in something that was like an Easter egg and Easter bunnies. Like, can you imagine? He would essentially say, oh, thanks, and then he'd like pitch it or hide it at the back of the case. So yeah, that's it. That's true. It's a true thing. Alrighty, so we've got that modeled in, and I think I want the boots black as well, because at that point, I need to kind of ground. You can see how this commands, like, stuff, right? That black is really bold, especially with how the rest of the colors on the mini are light. And just the presence of a black staff here is going to push these colors to look lighter, because now we have a serious contrast introduced here. So let's do the boots in the same near black color. Remember, every color you add to the model has an impact on what the other colors look like, either in hue or in value. Value meaning light and dark, hue meaning the color of it and how the color appears. But yeah, so we will do this. That should anchor the bottom of the model. We also always want the boots to be kind of a non-committal color, unless you've got like a character who just wears shiny red boots all the time, in which case you'd better put something on the rest of the model to make sure that you can distract from those shiny red boots. Good luck. Right, got it. You know, there was somebody on my Patreon who was looking to offload a bunch of Bones 4 and 5 models. I suggested that they post about it. They wanted to give them to me, and I'm like, I don't need them. So I suggested they find somebody who's going to run an event or give them to a local store or stuff like that. So what you might consider doing, Agent Marvel, is, asking around and saying, hey, I'm looking for, model donations because I want to run a paint event at my church. I bet a bunch of people have a lot of models they're not going to use, and they might be happy to either do a trade or, a little bit of cash or whatever you have the ability to do for a good cause. Because people on our community are really generous. And let's face it, we all have a crap ton of miniatures from Bones. Yeah, right. Yeah. I think it's because just miniatures are going up in value across the board. Like, Bones are like the affordable miniature at this point. Yeah. Asking around is great, but if you're running like a specific event, like with you, Agent Marvels, I mean, since you're trying to run a miniature event for your church, because your church is cool enough to have a D&D weekend. Like, right there, I want to support you. And then, if you probably don't need a crap ton of figures, I bet people will be happy to donate some stuff. Like, just ask around. Tell them what it's for. Reaper is often willing to support like things like that, but last I checked, we didn't really have a person for promo. When I was still with the company, I did things like that. You could contact me directly, and I would just throw some stuff in a box and send it out to you. But now, especially with the Kickstarter running and all that, a Reaper is pretty much all hands on deck, I bet. So it'd be hard. I don't think we have a product support person. Maybe Katie. If she's still in that position, but I don't know who's working, questions at Reaper Mini might be able to send you some support. Yeah. Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, people are, like I said, people are super generous. So if you're running a paint and take, or you want to run a painting event at your school or your church or wherever, it's always good to ask you. All right, so we've got this black, which is really a very, very dark indigo, very muted indigo. I see. We went to the buying a paint and take kit because we were supplying so many people because because so many people contact us, right? Random people out of the blue. I wish that there was a way we could kind of make a distinction between fans, people we know, and like you know, the rest of the world trying to get free minis and paints from us. But yeah, you're right, Inara. I had forgotten that they had gone to that model. I used to fulfill the kind of, hey, we know this person, so we should give them some free stuff role. But like I said, yeah, the official response is probably, as you say, that we put together paint and take kits specifically for purchase. It's still a deal, as I recall, but yeah. I think you have to contact us, Agent Marvel. The paint and take kits are, as I recall, they're discounted because they're meant for like stores and organizations, which is something that we would not put up for sale on our website, or everybody would just buy it and get a huge discount. Yeah, David Peterson. Yeah, if only. I used to, like I said, I used to do it. People used to contact me if they were, you know, they knew me, and I would go and check it with Ed, and then, you know, I would usually be able to toss them some free stuff. Not a ton, but, you know, was able to help here and there. But now that I work out here in California, I no longer have the ability to just run into internet, right? Run into the internet department and kind of grab some paints and some minis and mail them out to somebody. I'm going to cover in the bottom of this entirely dark, guys, since this is this ledge here. You can see I did paint it blue originally, but it's really just filler, you know, as it's the casting process. You can't, unless you cast the cape as a separate piece, you really can't, you know, you have to have this lump of plastic in there to support the shape. And so because this isn't important and it isn't really something we want people to see, we want to give them the illusion that the cape is thin, we're just going to fill it in with a dark shadow. But yeah, there are a lot of money grubbers on the internet and product grubbers, sadly. And the bigger you get, because Reaper is well known now, you know, the more you get hit up for stuff. It just paints a target on you. They're like, oh, that's a big company. I bet they could afford to give me some stuff. Never mind that, you know, 200 other people also asked that same question just this week. Yeah, that is true, David. And that's what I think, as I was just telling Agent Marvel, because Agent Marvel is going to run their church has a D&D night, or a D&D weekend, and they're going to run a paint and take. So in that case, I recommend getting on the Reaper's Discord and asking your fellow gamers, because almost everybody, I mean, we've pledged for all these Bones Kickstarters. We've got a bunch of extra models usually sitting around. Even if we haven't pledged for the Bones Kickstarters, we probably have stuff we won't paint and that we're willing to donate to a worthy cause. So I think community support in that case, especially if it's not a huge event. Obviously, if it's a huge event, then you might want to go for the Reaper product, paint and take product, to set yourself up. But if you're doing something smaller and local, you can get a lot just by asking the community to help. And then, of course, it always helps if, you know, you take pictures during the event and you put them up on the community afterwards, and you say, hey guys, here's people having fun with your minis, which is, I think, a really nice gesture. Oh, okay, you found the paint and take quick kits. Thanks, Quindy. Hey, now I'm curious. Hold on. I have to go look. All right. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, considering how much paint you get, and remember how paint is not inexpensive, it's not too bad. And if you have extra, honestly, if you got extra models donated, you could like turn that 25 kit into a 50 kit pretty easy. Oh yeah, is online I meant to ask you that actually, David, because last time yeah, so difficult to sort so many in each group. Yeah. Is online con going on? Like I totally have been out of touch because I've been so freaking busy with like my Patreon and my everything. So, and travel, a lot of travel recently. Cons and things. Day 3 in an hour. Ah, okay. I need to make some time today to tune in. For all of you, like, if you don't know David Peterson, you should go and take a look at David, because he does the Mouse Guard comics and is a wonderful artist. And I love watching him. I love watching you do commissions during your streaming, David. I love watching you develop those characters. It's super fun. I could just sit and watch you ink for hours. It's funny, but it's true. First 2 days were great. Are they on VOD? Can we watch the first 2 days? Are they up on like YouTube or? Yeah, he does, doesn't it? It's because he's a pro. Great Wolf. I didn't get to that level in my 2D art. I only got to that level in my 3D, in my mini painting. Yeah, I do both, Agent Marvel. You could pick up a kit, just to give you a good set of paints and stuff, and start minis, and then just ask for donations. VODs are already up. Awesome. So yeah. David Peterson, if you search him on Twitch, you will find him, guys. And you should, because if you like Mouse Guard or Redwall or any of the anthropomorphic like animal characters, which I know a lot of you do, and I certainly do, like David does such good animals. They have so much character and personality. You should totally go and check it out. All right, where the heck was I? Oh yeah, I was thinking about doing highlights on this black I just put on there. So let's do that. So, I think I need a kind of a gray, but I need a brown too. So maybe I need to go, of course all my Wolfie colors are in the other room, but I could start with some Cairn Stone and a little bit of brown. How about where's my desert? How about desert sand? Let's see what this makes. So sometimes you just want to mix colors together just for the heck of it. Remember, we're working with kind of a purpley black here, purpley blue black. So if I choose yellowish colors to mix in there, actually I may even, I must have put my Nod Bone in the other room. This is the problem with having 2 paint stations, darn it. But if you mix a yellowy color into your purpley color, you usually can create a decent gray. Now we might be a little too purple here. We might be a little too blue. We might see it go a little bit greenish, but we can correct that. So let's just try to do that mix and create kind of a soft gray. Oh, nice. Digital sculptor, paleontologist. Awesome. Ooh, Hellboy guest stars. Ooh, Matt Smith. Ooh. Oh, neat. Wow. So yeah, guys, definitely go over and give David a follow for one on his Twitch, and tune in a bit for Online Con. It has been super fun in the past. I really liked the one, I think it was, can't remember if it was last year or the year before, where it talked about weapons, like Mouse Guard weapons, and how they'd be made and what they were made of. Like, I thought that was super fun. So let's mix a little bit into here and see what we got. All right, that's actually making a kind of a cold gray. And I used desert sand for that, so I used some definite brown. This is not a bad color, though. This is kind of what I was aiming for. I would be happy if it was a little warmer, but I think this is a pretty good start. So let's do that. Yeah, I agree, Agent Marvel. Yeah, the Science of Mouse Guard. I loved that one. That was super fun. Actually, I know, David, I know also. I hope that our art director, Ron Hawkins, is watching this, because I know he's also a fan. But he's probably, like, running the Kickstarter at the moment, so he may or may not see this. It was through Ron that I first discovered Mouse Guard, because he had one of your books. Just kind of sitting on his desk, as Ron is wont to do. Pretty much if you want to like see a cross-section of what is interesting in the industry, you just walk up and look at Ron's desk. It's usually this giant mound. I kind of expect to walk into the room and see him perched on top of it like a dragon on its hoard. It's a tempting image. It could be a thing. But at any rate, that's when I saw Mouse Guard. And I was like, what's this? One of Ron's desks in one of Ron's offices. Yeah, this stream will end. Don't worry, David. My back won't sit for more than an hour and a half these days. But yes, this stream has another 45 minutes, and then y'all should go over and watch OnlineCon on David Peterson's Twitch channel. All right, I'm going to go for a very much warmer highlight than this because I do want to shift this away a little bit from that cold look. So this is a transitional color mixed between these two. And then by going again to the desert sand, which is very warm, we can mix a little bit of this into this and a little bit of an off-white. And I may go with the Cairnstone, but it's a little green, so maybe I'll just go with straight up white for this one. And we're going to essentially create a little triad, except our starting color is very, very dark. So that'll warm it up a bit more, and then I need to make this notably lighter. So let's see, I've got skeleton bone, I've got undead flesh, both those are too green. I've got splintered bone, that's a good warm, that's a warm white. I don't know if these are still, if the bone colors are still out. I had a thought that they might have been canceled, but if you have these old bone colors, the 9272, 9271, and 9273, they're really nice neutral, especially splintered bone is a really nice neutral off-white. So you can use it to lighten things like this. There we go. There we are. So we've got a nice lighter that's noticeably lighter, and it still has a bit of this gray in it. We can add a little bit more. There, now we've made a nice warmer transition color. So we'll start by using that. We'll go up to this. We're making these pretty sharp highlights. So why is our triad so different here? Because we're dealing with black and we're mixing a highlight for black. This staff, the way I figure it, is probably pretty shiny. Either he's just handled it a lot, or it's lacquered, or, you know, it's got some sort of protective coating on it. So it would be somewhat shiny, and that means that our highlights are going to transition very fast. They're not going to be a smooth, like, blend. They're going to be more of a sharp kind of spot. Whenever you have a shiny object, your highlights become very small and sharp. And this is true whether you're doing two-dimensional art or three-dimensional art. It's how you give the viewer information about the surface. So let's see if my paint consistency is right on this one. I'm just going to kind of, let's use the side of the brush. So if your paint isn't too thick or isn't too thin, you can use the side of the brush. I've unloaded my brush a lot. My brush is pretty flat. And I'm going to kind of take off, make sure any extra fluid is off. See, yeah, this is even too much because it's going in between. The texture here is very, very shallow. So sometimes you need thicker paint in order to side brush effectively here, to use the side of the brush to pick up details. So I could mix the thicker paint, but because I can, I'll probably just hit these little striations. But yes, you can side brush this. You do need thicker paint to do it. Almost dry brush, but not quite. And I always use the side of the brush rather than doing this across it. All right, so I can see these little details. And again, actually, you don't even need to hit these precisely. But it's thin paint that's going to let you do this. So if you want to just use the side of your brush to just pick up the texture, then you want thicker paint. If you want to actually hit these little lines and bring them, you know, bring up a highlight on them, then you want thinner paint. I'm going to bring up my next highlight a little bit up there. I'm going to bring in a little bit of my shadow. Kind of blend these guys in a little bit more. If you want more of a soft focus wood, you can just do kind of a blended highlight from here on up to here. That will work just fine. And then pick out just a little bit of grain. It depends on what you want to do. Here in between these, you can kind of see the striations. You just need little dots here. And again, if you aren't actually hitting, like, if you're just putting a little dots and you're not really hitting the actual sculpted wood grain, chances are nobody's going to actually notice. They're more likely to notice on the bigger sections. But I'm definitely suggesting light on the top of the staff as I'm leaving the bottom dark. Now here we have a shadow underneath the sleeve. So we're really going to come back down and hit the wood grain as it comes out. And you can put little dots too. You don't have to do all of this as just a line. It can actually be more interesting. As you can see, I dotted that. I used some dots, stippling. And that can create a more interesting textured look and not just a bunch of lines next to each other for wood grain. Because, you know, bark is rough and tends to, and wood can be rough too, and wood grain doesn't always like go just in predictable patterns. So stippling can make things look a little more natural. So I extended a little bit of highlight underneath the sleeve just to, for consistency's sake. I'll probably mix a darker highlight to bring up just a tiny bit of texture. So I'm going to take a little bit of our shadow, just a little bit of our midtone, and come up with, it is a much bluer gray. It's a much colder brick gray, but it lets me maybe put a little bit of highlight in here. Yeah, so it's still, at least it's there. Because there would be a little bit of reflected light hitting that. This guy's pretty harsh, pretty hard light since, you know, he's got, you can see all of his colors very true. So you know he's under daylight. And that means that even things in shadow can be seen. Now, if you're working from photographic references, you can be fooled on this because photographs tend to lose the details in the shadows. And if you've tried to take a picture of something, you know, like in say afternoon, like evening light or in the sunset, where you can see all cool details, say in the shadow of a stone, but then you take a picture and that shadow's just black. So don't be aware that when you're working from photo references, that may be a thing. And you may kind of lose kind of the beauty of the shadows. And you can always choose to add some cool highlights that are darker to retain that. So yeah, I decided to kind of paint these little lines, but to stipple on them to bring in more realistic texture. Now, this obviously I brought up the highlight more, so I'm going to also bring up the highlight more down here. We'll reach for our mixture of desert sand and splintered bone with a little bit of our previous color mixed in. Once again, I'm going to stipple because I kind of like the effect I'm getting. Kind of like it's picking up rough areas. That's pretty good. I want to bring up a little bit more just on the side of it here. There. So I like that appearance. That's pretty good. I have salad for lunch with a little bit of either shredded chicken or smoked salmon. That's my favorite lunch. With some kimchi usually, because I'm addicted to it. I look for it like every time I travel in any other area of the country except for the Bay Area. I can never find it. At least I can never find the good brands. But I can find it here, so I'm addicted. But yeah, I usually have a salad. And some fruit, maybe. I'm so happy that it's fruit season again. Like, we got fresh strawberries from local farms. Central Valley has strawberries. So now it's on. Now I'm like, it's berry season again. Our lime tree and our lemon tree have all these flowers, like especially the lime. The lime is just like, bonsai! You will get so many limes this year. While I've got this dark color, I'm actually gonna do some lining back here. I missed doing this. See, I get to make deviled eggs for the party this weekend. Deviled eggs are one of my favorite things, and I never make them because if I make them, I will eat them all. I have a pretty killer recipe for deviled eggs. It's very simple. But generally, people who are not fans of deviled eggs find my deviled eggs to be pretty darn tasty. It's my typical party food. If we have to bring like something, David usually brings homemade guacamole and I usually bring deviled eggs. There we go. That's too bad, Shadow Raven. Yeah, I just keep a huge tub of arugula on hand. Make my own salads. And my own salad dressing, too. That's the nice thing about having citrus trees is, like, I can throw together a lemon vinaigrette really easily. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of highlight on the other side of this. And the reason is just, like, bounce light, because there's white right here. And so there would be some light, and there's blue here. So probably colder highlights on the underside here. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Shadow Raven. Nobody's like, oh, I need to eat a dozen of those until you turn the hard-boiled eggs into deviled eggs. You are correct. Definitely a thing. But they're so good. So yeah, that's my task. I have to hard-boil some eggs today, and then tomorrow I'll mix up the stuff and we'll take them over and I'll assemble them at the party. Because transporting deviled eggs is fraught with peril. So yeah, let's... I mixed again the dark gray highlight where I take our base color and I mix it with a little bit of our brighter color. I just want to get a little bit of texture. You can see it there. A little bit of texture on the underside here. I'll bring it up a little bit more than this. So a little bit of highlight, just a little bit. Ooh, tacos. Oh, jalapeno poppers and margaritas. Darn, Inara. Look at you. You're going to be the favorite person at that party. Oh, good. We get our less than 5. I saw we were 5K away. Should get unlocked today. Let's hope. That gets us the second installment for the Fae expansion, right? I'm just waiting for the fairy dragon. Now near the top, I'm going to bring up the highlights just a little bit, again, to just accentuate that texture. And also because I might have this gem be kind of glowy, or at the very least, it'll have light passing through it. So I may color these highlights later, depending on the color of the gem. But for now, it's enough to just bring up a little bit of that light. Because it is pointed up, and there would be a little light falling on this upper edge of the staff anyway. So... it's a good way to lead into your more subtle texture going down from there. Yeah, life-size fairy dragon. That's what I've been waiting for forever. You could use it as a giant fey dragon for your 28mm games, or it could just be a life-size fairy dragon mascot sitting on your desk helping you paint. I can't imagine anything better than this. Everyone go up their pledge. I saw the fairy dragon the other day, Iffy, on Christine's stream. She was working on her. All right, let's get some of this highlight onto these boots. I'm going to thin it down a bit. And I'm probably going to darken it just a little. Start that way. And then work it up to here. Kind of going back and forth and mixing my highlights a little bit. Back and forth a little bit to bring them closer together. A long time. 7 inches, good. Oh yeah, inject the wings in clear. That's cool. I was going to redo the wings myself anyway. I was going to sculpt my own wings on it. Yeah, exactly. It's a painting mascot. That's what I'm saying. Spread the word. The fairy dragon is really just your painting mascot. Everyone needs to buy one. Let's see. I'll probably do those little clasps in gold, but for now, well, let's just block them in so I don't accidentally highlight them. When you get on autopilot, you know how it goes. But yes, hopefully everybody loves the life-size fairy dragon. But yeah, that's good because it means if they're injecting the wings in clear that the wings are a separate piece. And I would love that because I do want to do my own wings. So I think I'm going to do these rings around the staff in gold also. So sometimes, yeah, you leave something just blank, and then as you continue to paint the model, you understand, like, oh, those really should be gold, you know. Things like that. You can see the logical progression of where the colors make sense. All right, so I'm going to block these guys in gold. And I think I'm going to do the bottom. I don't know, though. This may very well be all an accent color, except for that little square pattern. I might make that in gold, a very thin gold pattern. Like gold thread. I think I'll do that. In which case, I'm just going to leave this blank right now until I figure out my accent. I'm going to bring this all the way around the underside of the staff. And I didn't quite base coat all of this area on the shoulder, so we'll get all of that. Yeah. And also the black wood also makes it a little less stark, right? It's like got more details, so it doesn't read quite as like just a lump of black slicing across the figure. Alrighty. Looking at the light here. A lot of the light, as you can see, is falling on his feet with not a lot on the front of his legs because he's, see how they're tilted forwards. So that means the light is falling here, and it's not hitting the front of the boot. So really, we'll still have some slight reflected light if this is shiny leather, but we'll start hitting some highlights on the boot here. And we will definitely bring up the highlights toward the, further down the boot, on top of the leg and stuff. Oh, did Weeby do the bees? I wondered who did the bees. The bees are kind of cool. Like, I keep looking at them. I think maybe if I buy that expansion, maybe we'll paint one on stream. So usually I like to hit kind of that kind of line around the toe of the boot. Just kind of a little crescent to map it out. So we've got both feet, just like they look. We can do a little bit of a highlight. I probably will mix that dark gray blue by mixing a little bit of our base coat in there with the gray. Just to bring up a little bit of under reflection on that. So a tiny bit, see that? It's not as dark, but it's still in line with the way the light is falling, because if the light is bouncing back up at it, it's probably there. It'll be stronger toward the bottom, which is why this is lighter. Oh. So yeah, we'll do the other side of the boot the same way. Again, when you have, I'm painting these as pretty shiny leather. So even if it's black, it's going to be reflecting light. There's going to be light reflecting from these stones. They're going to go back up on the leg, the front of the leg. And I tend to just do like streaks across the front of the leather or a zigzag. Oh, thanks, Big Floating Eyeball. Yeah, decided I wanted to do black wood for once. And the wood grain is pretty much following the sculpt, just with a bit of stippling, because it helps suggest that irregularity that comes with wood grain. So let's go up a highlight here. So the sole of the boot, I don't pay too much attention to. But at the front, it should be in line. If there's highlights here, it should be in line with that. And then I'll usually just pick up kind of a cursory highlight on the sole of the boot around the side. Just like a much more subtle highlight. I'm going to get that more subtle mixture of these two colors that I used on the front of the leg, and I'm going to carry them a little bit around on the side here of the boot to bring out these details. I'm so used to doing boots now. Like, I used to do terribly ugly boots but you just get, like, you know, you practice and you kind of figure out, oh, this kind of thing works. I think I'll do this. Now it's to the point where I really enjoy boots. And again, when you're dealing with leather, I find part of the key is to make it irregular, like make your brush strokes kind of dashes, introduce some irregularity to it. I went a little bit far there. And remember, if it's black, most of the surface has to stay black. So if you go too far, bring more black in, knock it out. Got a little bit of light falling there on the back of the heels. You can see it, so we're going to paint that in. Oh, I actually missed a spot on my base coat there. I'm seeing it now. There, let's make sure I've got all that. Yeah, it looks good now. Just missed a little tiny spot at the bottom of the heel. Alrighty. And sometimes, like I said, I'll kind of do the line between the boot and the sole. And if I decide that that's too strong, I'll come in and kind of glaze it with my base coat. Because again, you don't want to go too much black. And I do want to highlight on the top here. Maybe a little bit of a highlight going down the calf. But I'm going to make it a little darker and blend it in. A little bit. Sometimes the sides of things can be challenging because you know that the light is mostly frontal, so you're not going to be getting a huge amount of light on the sides, but you still need a little bit to pick out detail. So you kind of have to kind of pick and choose how you're going to get it, how you're going to highlight it. Usually I'll highlight at least the bulge of the calf just a little bit, and then I'll bring in my black, make sure that I didn't lose too much of it. But yeah, so we don't want to overdo the boots too much because a lot of the leg, all the interior of the leg is in shadow. So I'm going to put very minimal darker highlights on the interior here. Just a little bit to bring out these creases in the boots that are sculpted. But there's otherwise not going to be a lot of light in there. It's really dark, as you can see from just looking at the miniature. So sometimes I'll highlight the heel a little bit. Gonna do a tiny bit more back here, but I don't want, it's mostly just to make the highlights show up at all underneath this cape. Oh, need a little bit more. So sometimes you want to pop a highlight, not because the light would be necessarily falling there, but just a little bit so that it's more visible if it's has something overhanging it. So now I can see that highlight even when the cape falls. You don't want to go too far though, or it looks unnatural. So be careful with it, and if it starts to look a little bit too much, you can grab your black and knock it down a peg. Just a little bit. There we are. So we've got boots, and we need more highlight on the boots though. The boots just have a start. Now if you just want the boots to be kind of dull, you know, just a little bit shiny, this is pretty good. If you want really shiny boots, you've got to bring them up close to white. I don't know how far I want to go today. I think I'm actually going to grab some splintered bone, mix it with my warm highlight a little bit, and see what kind of spot highlight I can put to make these shiny boots. Doesn't have to be pure white, it can be near white. This is my first day having my window open in the morning in my office because it's warm enough. It's supposed to be 80s today here. Glad springtime is finally here. But yeah, big floating eyeball, we're gonna work on this one until it's done, and then I'm gonna start on the base for one of the dragons from the Kickstarter. Snow flurries, oh my gosh. Because weird springtime Midwest weather. I mean, I totally get it, having grown up in Wisconsin. So if you put just a little bit of a spot highlight, then everything looks shinier. You should carry it all the way up though. To wherever the light ends. And that may even be a little bit wide, but if you don't like it, you can take your previous highlights, the darker ones, and kind of fuzz it out a little bit. I did not, Kaz. Stumpy is still Stumpavrax. And Stumpavrax, he or she shall remain until I get parts. Yeah. Oh, did they get shipped out? Sweet. Excellent. Yeah, it's just been a question of when Trenchworks would have time to get them done. But that's good. I've been checking my mail, so a little bit of highlight. A little bit shinier. It can be easier to suggest the shine when you're using more of a blue to highlight. Because it tends to have sky reflection in it on black. So sometimes it won't translate quite right if you're using, let's see, do I have, yes, hold on. So, Zari has shiny boots, and you can see there's definitely a blue shine on those, and that is more like a daylight reflection, a blue sky reflection. It can be harder to suggest shiny convincingly if you're not doing that. It's more of a flat light here. It doesn't suggest outdoors. So blue is actually, when you're doing black, if you mean for the black to be in an outside environment, do make it a little bit blue. I'm not using blue here, so it's reading a lot more flat. Yes, Slightly Annoying Ron is a Reaper tradition, actually. Yes. That's okay. I mean, you wouldn't annoy him if you didn't love him, right? Annoying you just means we love you, Ron. I think, now one thing I could do with this, if I really, really wanted to, is I could put a blue glaze over the highlights. That would be interesting. But right now I think I'm going to stick with neutral. And then if I want to glaze later, I will. Though I did get a little bit too much, so I'm going to glaze the black over it and knock these down just a little. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Now remember, like when you first glaze, you will be like, OMG. But remember, glazes dry much lighter than they look, and washes do. So after you glaze, you will find that all your highlights come back out to play. Don't worry. Hopefully just knocked down just a little bit. Alrighty, I think that has blued up those shoes, purplied up those shoes actually a little bit too. So there we go. So now they look slightly different color. That's good. I have a lot of Patreon stuff to do today. I'm going to work on a painting black hair video for 28 millimeters, so more black. Today is obviously my day to paint black. And working on a Patreon coaching as well today. A lot on my Patreon plate today. Patreon.com/paintingbig if you're interested and you have not looked at my Patreon. It is my great love and also truly my means of support. And I appreciate all of you who have become my patrons. Try to give a lot of valuable material, and I always appreciate it when my patrons give me ideas for more. There we go. So we got just a little bit of highlight on that black leather. We don't want to take it too high. It's really just kind of a detail there. You want to hit it, you want to give it a highlight, but you don't want to go too far with it because it's not really a super important thing, these pouches. They're a nice accessory, but they're not super important. So there, we got the side there. Yes, Patreon. Thank you for the link, Quindy. Well, thank you, Miss Half Damage. That's awesome. I'm so glad you enjoy it. I try to make it a good buy and just chock full of knowledge. Now is when I'll start now I feel like what I'm doing now, actually, and if you're on my Patreon or you would like to help, if you notice topics, and somebody just pointed this out the other day, like there's a black hair video for a bigger scale in the $10 section, but I didn't have black hair for a small model in the $2 section. And so things like that, if you notice holes in my content, that's the kind of thing that's gold to me. If you like send me a message on Patreon or you let me know, it's always great to have those because I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. I'm also going to rework some of my earlier videos subjects, just where I feel like I could do them better now, like doing some basic gold and silver NMM and stuff. Yeah. Inara, I'm going to paint this guy till he's done, which probably is only going to take a few days. Unless, if I decide to do freehand on him, I may just put that off for a bit. And then I'm going to work on the dragon space. So all next week, at some point next week, we will start the dragon space. Just because I want to kind of switch it up a little. So we may kind of generally finish blocking this guy out, and then we may switch to the base for a little bit. Then we may go back and do freehand on the back of him, if I can figure out what kind of freehand I want. Depends. The Easter egg idea is still tempting. But yes, so that is what I'm planning to do. And then depending, hopefully Stumpy's parts get to me next week. What we may have to do with Stumpy's base is we may have to start very neutral on it. Although I kind of have ideas in mind of what colors I want to paint Stumpy with, and that will help. Pretty much like I don't go all in. There's this, okay, so in French miniature painting, Jeremy Bonamont-Taboul has brought up, he has kind of a theory where if you use a color on the model, it should also be on the base somewhere, even if you just mix it into your grays for stonework. And I like that idea. I don't go all in on it, but I do like to keep in mind the colors of the model when I'm working on the base work. And so I kind of have an idea of how I want to paint Stumpy. And so I think I'll be able to use that to start on the base, at least. I don't, because you have to force it. If you have chalky paint, and it depends. Like old pro paint, like, okay, sometimes chalkiness can be matting medium or too much matting medium. So if you're like doctoring your paint, you can get kind of that frosted look. But if it's honestly like chalky, like you're getting kind of speckledy, streaky looks, you've overthinned. The only other way you'd get that is with a frozen paint. So a frozen paint won't go back into solution. It'll look like it is when you mix it up, but it isn't. It's like its bonds have been broken by the freezing. And so then you could get that streaky, speckly appearance with a paint that was not over thinned, but just like because it was broke. But at this point, man, I don't even know if I could force it. I'm just so used to painting. I'm so used to like watching my mixes and painting, like dialing in the correct the correct consistency. That I don't know if I could even, with stuff like that where it's like troubleshooting, it's sometimes really hard to reproduce that effect. Like you get it accidentally, but it's hard to like get it purposefully. Yeah, I don't have that. I should maybe do some other troubleshooting videos, like, you know, when you get a chip on your paint, like how you fill that in and kind of go over the top of it. Like there are methods to do that with, that you can use. To kind of fill that in and make it look like it never chipped. Yes, have fun, Shadow Raven. Good luck with figuring out what you want for lunch. Yeah, well, actually, Grey Wolf, the way to check it is to add just a little bit of paint and try it again, and then see if it streaks or see if you get a smooth layer. Like, that sort of thing really is like, oh, I think I'm getting chalkiness. I wonder what it is. Well, add a little bit more paint to it and see if the chalkiness resolves. Although, I'll tell you, chalkiness usually is only extreme thinning. So if you're working on blonde hair and your paint is still pretty thick and you're still getting that kind of weird effect, I would seriously consider, like, first make sure your paint's well shaken up, very well shaken up, And if it is, and if you're not thinning a lot. I mean, how much are you thinning, I guess? Do you use a well palette? Do you know? Because if you're doing white highlights, like if you're doing stuff with pure white, you should be able to thin a lot. 4-to-1 paint to water or water to paint. Paint to water. Yeah, you should not be getting any chalkiness. 4-to-1 is like base coat. So like if you're getting a weird finish on that, it's either a shaking up problem where you got maybe some binder in the paint. Yeah. So either frozen or not shaken up enough is my conclusion from that. You don't get chalkiness until you start like doing 1 to 3. Yeah, I mean, if it's just matte, then it's just matte. It is possible, like this does happen, where maybe some extra matting agent was added to the paint, and so maybe it went dead matte. If you feel like it might be too matte, add 1 drop of brush on sealer, not thinned. Or not shaken too much. Yeah, no problem. Yes, everybody have a good weekend. Oh, I was going to talk about things that I might work on my stream tomorrow. That's right. We're at a pretty good stopping point. We got all of our black highlighted today. So that's what we did. So if you're interested in highlighting black and like using stippling to suggest wood grain texture and stuff like that, and you've just tuned in, do go back and watch the VOD. Yeah, and we talk about maybe making him an Easter egg wizard, but I think that would be bad. For one thing, I feel like he needs bunny ears if I'm going to make him an Easter egg wizard. But, so things I might work on in my stream tomorrow. I do want to finish this lady because I want to put her up for sale, and she's been sitting around. She got totally shelved during Adepticon prep. There's some silver NMM I need to work on her. I need to figure out freehand. I need to do some gold NMM back here on the back. So there's definitely things that I need to work on, just little things I need to work on her to get her done. And then, of course, the base. So I need to figure out what I'm doing. Yes, thank you, Quindy, for the link to everything. So I will be streaming on my Twitch there, twitch.tv/paintingbig. And so it's either this one, which I probably will work on her a little bit at least, because the other two I haven't put paint on yet. So she's got a bikini, so she's safe. So there's this lady from Creature Caster. Hold on. Boom. But I really want to do her skin tones first. She has a sticky tack bikini right now. But she's really cool. I think she's going to be competition level, like high-end competition level. I may push myself big time on her. She's neat. She has another claw, too, that comes out back here. So she's a super neat model from Creature Caster. And then the last one I'm actually doing sculpting and conversion on, and that's my giant wolfen from Journeyman Miniatures that I picked up at Adepticon. So he's a giant confrontation wolfen. He's a resculpt of the old metal confrontation wolfen, but he is huge. He is immense. So you can see how big he is in my hand. So he's really cool, and I'm doing a lot of green stuff on him, and I'm resculpting his face. And so I could do the green work tomorrow, too. I want to give him a loincloth, and I want to resculpt his head, so he's got really cool weaponry. But so his head is very cartoony, because the original concept art was very cartoony. And what I'm doing is essentially giving him more of a natural wolf head, which I'm more into. So all this is green work that I did I think I did part of it at Adepticon. Yeah, I did. So you can see the differences with the way the lips, this is more of a human expression with those muscles. Wolves really wouldn't do that, so you'd get more of that band of muscle here going straight down across that. So, yeah. So essentially I wanted to do, I wanted to make the ears smaller, so you can see that, right? Big ear here, like pretty much hooks up to the back of the eye. I wanted it smaller. I'm going to broaden the head and bring the skull back more. Made the eyes larger, broadened the skull, so you can see how I'm pulling out and adding green to build up more of a cheekbone here to make the skull broader. Inevitably, the muzzle will also become slightly more broad, and I'm also making it not like cut in so much here and more like a broad taper. I'm going to sculpt a little bit over these wrinkles. Obviously I did, because on this side the wrinkles go all the way down the snout, which also is not like canine anatomy. So I'm fixing that here. But yeah, so this is my cool, like, kind of resculpt project, because I really love the giant werewolf. Like, he's super neat. Yeah, so I need to take some, like, work in progress photos on this one, I think. But he's got two really cool swords. Like, I need to put this one in the resin pot because it's a little bit wonky. See, it's got a little bit of a bend. So we need to boil it. And I'm changing the elbow, too, because the way the arm is, it's almost hyperextended. See how it bends back? So I've actually been shaving away at it so I can reposition it here and resculpt the elbow, which is a very doable conversion, and it makes him a little more active. And then this hand is actually pretty cool. It's down and kind of braced on a stone, so he's balancing on it. So this is a really cool weapon as well. Very neat. So yeah, so this is a very cool model from Journeyman Miniatures, and that may be something it depends on what I feel like tomorrow, really. Whether I'm going to work with green or if I feel like painting. But yeah, so I love confrontation, but like sometimes the concept art gets very, very cartoony and French. And so I like to maybe reel it up a little bit, if you know what I mean. So those are all the things that I might play with tomorrow on my stream. Remember, it's not going to be in the afternoon tomorrow. It's going to be at the time this show normally is, or just slightly later. Just keep an eye on twitch.tv/paintingbig, and I will be on, so you guys get an extra morning show. Think of it that way. Alrighty. Well, technically I have 5 more minutes, but I don't know that I have anything to do in the 5 more minutes. I guess I do have gray, so I could take this gray and lay it down on the base, or a version of it down on this base. So we'll just block this in. I do like the flagstones on this base. I think they're pretty cool. But yeah, I really have no fear of, like, with stuff like that, using the original sculpt as an armature. I also have some practice in turning a human face into an animal face on a character. Depending on the animal in question, it can be fairly simple. I've been thinking about turning, there's a human bust that David has that he's never going to work on, that I might steal and sculpt into a human cat face. That was kind of a thought that I had. Because really all you need to do there is, as long as the eye position is correct, you just need to, like, sculpt the muzzle, right? Build the muzzle up on the front of the face to make an anthropomorphic animal, human kind of face. And then deal with the ears. I've done it in 28mm quite successfully, and I haven't ever tried it on a bust, and so I had a thought that I could do that. Yeah, I have to time change Pendrake because it's not permanent. It's just because David's like oldest friend, like from childhood, is having a surprise birthday party this weekend. So we're committed to go on Saturday, and I can't do my afternoon stream. I have to make deviled eggs and essentially be in San Francisco during the time of my normal stream. So I'm going to switch it to morning because I don't want to do it in the evening here, because evening here is like night for the rest of you. So since I'm West Coast. So doing it in the morning, it should start a little bit before or right at noon, or maybe around its normal time. I don't know. Just, tune in around the normal time if you'd care to, and we'll do some stuff. We'll probably do a little bit of green work and a little bit of paint work. I probably, if there's any one of those models I don't work on, it'll probably be the Demonette, just because I want to get her skin blocked in first, and obviously I can't do that on camera because she's naked, and Twitch doesn't like naked. Yeah, double legs. So yes, so since we have that party to go to, and we have to be down there by 2, so we're going to be driving, because it's 45 minutes to the north side of the city. So I can't do the normal stream time. But it is an excuse to go get myself a morning coffee and stream with you guys. So yeah, I'll probably work on the Wolfen and the Pirate. Those are probably what I'll do. I've wanted to get the Pirate done so I could sell her on my Patreon for a while. Okay, so we've used our gray, and this is again something where you use the colors on the model in the basing, right? So I've done that. I've actually used this gray now to set up that stonework. You can see the difference between this color and the original Bones gray, right? But once the rest of this is all blocked in, this gray, once that gray is covered up, this gray will probably read as just a normal gray, even though it is much colder. You can see that it's more bluish than this gray up here is. Now my highlight color here, this actually is much closer to these colors. And I thought about doing that, but I like to start with a slightly darker stone color so there's room to highlight. Yeah, I have almost all of them in 28mm metal pendrake. I have almost the complete collection because I am a fan. But the resin resculpts, the big resin resculpts from Journeyman, really, really good. We have a Howling pack coming to us in May. So that's super awesome. But yes, that's what we did today, guys. I am still kind of sliding toward like a red, violet, purple, or a purpley red for the accent color, which is close to the hair, but should be different enough. It's kind of like playing in my head. I kind of like that idea. So I'll consider it. The other way to go is we could go with more of a bright orangey yellow. But I don't know if I like that as much. And here I might actually go with kind of a weird, like, rainbowy star thing. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I keep tossing around ideas of what we're going to do for an accent color here. So, but yeah, there we are. Now we're at 5 after. Now I feel like I can wrap up the Friday edition. So yes, remember my stream is earlier tomorrow. It's at the time of this show. And then, yeah, other than that, have a fantastic weekend. Yeah, Reaperland at 3. Don't miss it. Maybe they'll show more secrets, more upcoming things, right? Thank you, Quindy, for all you do. I hope you have a good weekend, too. And I'll see you guys again either tomorrow on my own stream or on Monday. Bye-bye.